Welcome everyone to AED&D. We are on whatever episode this is. I think 6. No, way past. Maybe 8.
7 or 8.
Yeah. Um, you're here with Bork, who's playing Sarah, Donnie Danger, who's playing Drucilla, and their untrusted DM, the Man Bear. I had to remember that one.
Trusted for valid reasons. I
I
have fucked with you guys a couple times.
I had to remember that one. Oh, before we actually get started, I want to show you what I got for Christmas. Can you see that?
Nice.
Um, Also, so my girlfriend's mom bought that. Um, I have another one. I forgot where I put them. But then she also got me socks, and it says, it has the saying, what when pretty much when the DM smiles, you're already screwed, or you're already in trouble,
Good advice.
or you're already in trouble by time the DM smiles. That's
I'm already in trouble by the time I roll the dice.
it.
Lately, you've been giving your rolls to Bork. He's been rolling like shit.
I have been. Like, oh, I need to clean this. Anyways, Manbear, you're on up.
Okay, so we just finished up the second raid of Golden Hill that the group is taking part in.
That was the
This
third.
time, instead of covering 2 gates, Sarah and Drusilla covered only 1 gate themselves and fought off a decent amount of fodder, as well as tangled with Frost Giant, only to have Bylorn, the captain of the guards, and Farlight, the half ogress warrior, come in and finish him off. Even though Sarah claims she could have finished him off, Drusilla was pretty much unconscious and not very much of help.
Well,
That
I
was
did
true.
most of the work. I did most of the work.
Afterwards, they met up at the inn, had a decent shindig of sorts, got pretty wasted. Both woke up with massive head hangovers. Sarah, being a consummate alcoholic, kind of brushed hers off. Drusilla, being new to the world of drinking, thought she was dying. I legitimately thought she was dying. So she went to take a nap, which is when Sarah was approached by Bylorn, Farlight, and Sybil, as well as Malice, one of their old party members, with rumors and tips on what they should do for the next month before the next raid comes. Having discussed these tips and rumors with Drusilla, they both decided that they want to stay in the city for a month to assist in growing the city's defenses, training the city's troops, and just general maintenance of the city itself. As far as I know, that this is about where we left off. Am I right?
That's about the gist of it. I mean,
Yeah,
I knew that Drusilla caught on that there was like a discussion happening without her, so she doesn't know like the full gist of it, but she caught most of it.
I have to tell her
Sarah,
about everything and get
yeah,
her
Sarah
opinion.
caught her up.
I thought we did that at the end of the last episode because Drusilla voted for training new troops, and then you guys both discussed what you wanted to do. Drusilla pushed to go out of the city, but Sarah convinced Drusilla to stay in the city for a month and help train.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Because Drew has her own goals, but she doesn't really have any leads about where to go for that. So like she decided to hang out with Sarah and do like the city thing. That and she kind of wants to figure out what's going on with the raid leader
Wait. I'm confused. I thought these raids were weekly.
Monthly.
monthly.
Before we started the podcast, you guys traveled to the future, 72 years, I think, into the future. And upon meeting back up in Golden Hill, you found out that for the last 70 years, they have been suffering a raid every month. It was you came into the city 2 weeks before the first raid. And then after the first raid, you spent 3 weeks traveling to and from
Yep,
the
yep,
Lizard City.
yep.
And then you spent a week in the city before the second raid.
Yeah, because that's when you're like, okay, well, you guys got back to the city, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So you guys are, I'm washing my hands with you guys.
Actually, it was more personal, and I was having some issues that I'd rather not bring up on the podcast, which is why I switched.
Or you could have agreed with me, and you didn't have to say all that.
I'd rather be honest. Saying I wash my hands of it makes me look like a bad DM.
No, you're just like, I'm done. I have no ideas. I need some time.
DMing can get overwhelming. I get it.
Sorry, I got Letterkenny on in the background. Anyway, so for this, you were offered two choices when it came to the city. Choice one, work on the farms. Choice two, work on the city. You chose to stay in the city, so you heading out to the farms will not be an option. What I plan on doing, for everybody's knowledge, is you two will state your goals, your personal goals, for a week. That is the stuff you'll be working on in between events. Each week will have an event that you guys will take part in as well. Um, but otherwise, to keep from having to role play every individual day, you guys are going to set a goal for the week so that when we're not doing the major event of the week, you're just basically doing that.
Okay.
I'm following you.
Okay. So this will be the first week. Out of your available goals for the week, you can one, work on your profession. Two, work on helping construction of the artillery on the walls, which was Sarah's suggestion to the big three for what they should do. Three, work on training up a specialty unit, which was Drucilla's suggestion of what the big three should do. Four, train with the guards, help raise morale and otherwise general stuff. Or five, patrol the walls and, pick off stragglers.
It's rough because I do want to train up berserkers because I just think the idea is pretty cool. But I mean, I'm probably gonna wage war on this kingdom once I become a Dark Lord proper. So, do I want to
I,
deal with
I,
trained berserkers?
I think you're getting a little too meta for even yourself there.
I don't know if I am. Um, feel like this is kind of actually something that would be in the back of my head.
I'm probably gonna help work on the artillery.
For the first week, you're going to help with the artillery.
Yeah, get that started off
Um,
on a good foot.
Okay.
I suppose if Sarah's going to be training up and doing this stuff, I wasn't originally going to help out the townsfolk, but I don't want to get shown up. So I'm going to train up some berserkers.
Okay, before you say berserkers, there's a little bit you're going to have to discuss with the big three before you can make that choice. Okay. So, Sarah, you're going to do artillery for the first week. Since this is the start of the month, we're gonna have a little sesh with the big three and Malice and you two in the bar in the morning with breakfast. So, setting the scene, you two are sitting around with Sybil, Farlight, Bylorn, and Malice, enjoying a simple breakfast of oats and discussing plans for building the city. Bylorn, who is the one who suggested that you two, or asked, I should say, he requested that you two stay in the city and help for the month, expresses his gratitude, and says, now that you two are here, we don't have to separate tasks. We can do both because we'll have the extra hands, and you guys will hopefully show interest in helping in your fields. I am grateful you two chose to stay. I'm sure those rumors could have led to riches or magical items or possibly your own very death. But you chose to stay here and help us, and for that I will never be more grateful.
Well, my pleasure.
Yeah. I'm just eating my oats. It's like, what did you want us for?
Well, he goes, so we have several tasks that need to be done around the city. He lists off a couple of the tasks that I listed off to you. Um, we'd appreciate your help in any situation. Sarah, you said you were going to help with artillery.
Yep.
So at this point, Sybil approaches the subject with you, and she goes, "So I know I'm a thieves guild member, and kind of an assassin and everything. And artillery is not really my forte. But out of these two, I'm probably the best with a bow and the best at range. So I'll be leading up that. What, buddy? Yeah, sure. Can you throw this in the garbage? And can you put this in the kitchen? And then you can come sit by daddy." So I would be leading up construction of the artillery alongside the gnome from the workshop and his husband, because they'll be the ones creating the actual devices. Now, are we talking? Do you think ballista would be a good idea, or maybe catapult? We could probably pull one or the other.
Um, I would probably say ballista.
Ballista. Okay, so we're looking at more single targets and high damage, but not much area of effects. That's a good choice. Good choice. We haven't had very many army size raids yet. Everything's been so far pretty small. Um, so you're willing to help us out with that for the first week at least? That'd be great. You can help side us up and maybe set some range markers, which would be really nice. There you go, bud.
Yep, I can do that.
Sorry, I'm getting my boy comfy. Everybody say hi to the boy. Say hi,
Hey,
boy. Say hi. Okay.
Uh,
So, and then Drusilla, you want to raise troops.
preferably something a bit more badass than pikemen.
Well, we could do. Oh, sorry. We could do several kinds of specialty troops. We could do uh an infiltrator squad, which would hide in the woods and potentially strike from the back. This would be a high risk group, high risk of mortality, which honestly we don't know if we can really spare people right now. But they would also be very high damage, which could be useful. We could do a berserker troop, which would just rush the front lines of the enemies. This would be an even higher risk of mortality, but also much higher damage. We could train a specialty sort of shield pikeman who would take the front line and would be super defensive, allowing us to train more ranged troops and get more damage while fewer troops have to guard the front gate itself. We could do a more long range sniper type troop, which would be high damage, but I don't think you would be very much use helping us train them.
Might be more free time for myself. Uh, but in the case of the berserker, why not wait until the enemy is already demoralized, already like dwindled down before unleashing them? They don't need to
It,
be unleashed immediately.
it's a good plan, but these aren't humans that are raiding us. These are monsters pushed on by some unknown force. They don't crumble, they don't retreat. You saw last time the kobolds were flinging themselves across the gap to get to us. There was no retreats, there was no running away. It was just all battle, and you're still looking at very high risk if you send anybody, even you two, into the middle of that force. I'm sure if you would have charged in there, guns a blazing at the beginning, you would have been hacked to pieces.
Sounds like you don't like the thought of berserkers all that much.
As a group, no, we do not. We like the idea of the damage, but right now I don't think we have the population to support them. Now, that being said, we will take your lead on this, and if you choose to train up a group of berserkers, then by all means, train up a group of berserkers. Nobody, don't play with Daddy's headphones. And what comes comes. There's nothing else we can do.
Hmm.
Leaving it up to Drucilla then.
Thought of berserkers is very appealing. I feel like humans, civilized sort, have a lot to learn from the tactics of monsters. I've seen firsthand how effective a reckless force, leaving their lives to abandon, can be. I've seen orcs rush headlong into battle and take down numbers far greater than our own simply due to their sheer ferocity. A trait I have seen lacking. Humans, though, I suppose protecting life is more at the forefront than victory itself.
And that's where you come to the balance. As I stated, you know, berserkers would do high damage. There'd be no doubt about it. They would tear through the fodder, but the likelihood of them coming back would be few and far between.
What about reforming prisoners?
We don't have any prisoners right now. We have what we have. We've been struggling for years. Our civilization isn't in a sudden population boom. We have the few stragglers that stuck around.
Yeah, suppose that would be a low tactic, though. It was very
Eh,
effective during the first raid, even though they didn't really fight.
No, and they died.
It was very effective.
Richard, you need to sit still, buddy.
I'm gonna let Sarah take the lead here. She's got more of a rapport with the townsfolk, anyways, and keeping most of the damage dealing to a range would mm, keep anybody from getting in our way on the field.
So you're thinking long range specialty training?
Yes, I am.
Those decisions made. We'll get into the week. So let's say the first and second day of the week. First day, obviously, you had the meeting. You guys spend the first 2 days. Sarah's up on the walls, as well as walking the fields around the walls, setting range meters for the ballista, so that the ballista can start hitting targets before even the range dealers do. And getting everything set up and setting up some targets in the field so that when the ballistas are built, they can target practice.
Sounds good.
Drusilla goes down into the arena, spends her days in the arena, explaining the benefits of having a ranger at her side and how many times, though she'll never admit it to Sarah, how many times Sarah Snow has stepped up and put an arrow in the eye of a goblin at 70 yards, saving Drusilla from getting attacked in the back. And it kind of, starts to motivate the archers and get them going into taking a few steps back from their targets every time they practice. And starts to get them to think about shooting longer distance and more accurate with each shot. Um, Training's not that great since Drusilla is a sword mage, but she still manages to motivate them with stories of how Sarah Snow has acted. Again, never willing to actually tell Sarah any of this. On,
Right. That sounds accurate.
on the third day of the first week, we come to our event. As you guys are kind of, you wake up, you have your breakfast, you're getting into this routine. Sarah's going to patrol the next part of the wall and set up range targets and everything at the next part of the wall. Drusilla is getting ready to head down into the arena and start, talking glory-filled stories of battle and pump up both her and Sarah in the eyes of the common folk and make herself look like a savage.
Yeah.
You hear a scuffle, I'll say, loud noises, shouting coming from up here.
Oh, it's that. I was just in the middle of instructing these guys. Does
Oh, no,
anybody
no, no,
know?
no, no. You just left the inn. You're on your
Oh,
way to instruct. You haven't actually started yet.
okay.
Are we both leaving the inn right now?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
both leaving the inn.
I
Sarah, do
I
you hear something?
well, I don't acknowledge her, but I turn to see who's over there.
You see a group of people. Um, you see some of the full armored people you recognize as followers of Malice. You see some people in the guard uniform, and you see some people in just like common pedestrian clothes.
Are
Uh,
they?
I start making my way over there.
Yeah, I'm going to investigate as well. This isn't normal.
As you get closer, you hear shouting. You also hear a familiar voice. You're not sure who, unless you want to make perception checks.
Oral
Um,
perception check. That's
I
plus.
thought you were gonna keep talking, but I'll roll.
you said he was going to roll perception, so I wanted to wait until he rolled.
Well, I figured that whatever you were saying wasn't gonna be affected by who it was.
What modifier is that?
Charisma.
Still weird. Okay,
Oh,
I'll keep
you guys.
walking. I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
you guys kind of recognize the voice, but you don't know who it is, and you get closer, and you realize it's more than a few people. Like there's a heavy crowd circling this area up here. You can't even see through the people. Um, you have a choice to. Well, honestly, it's your choice. Do what you want.
Let me move my token. Okay, we're about over here. I'm just gonna approach the crowd and see what they're crowding around.
But like I said, you can't see through them.
D- Um,
It's it's a really thick crowd. Imagine like coming up to a parade and trying to see the groundwork, but you're like an hour late and it's five people deep and you're not taller than any of them. So you can't really see the groundwork.
what's all the commotion here? I try to say over the humbug. What's going on?
Are you gonna say anything or do anything, Sarah, or no?
Yeah, I was gonna like just poke on the one guy and be like, excuse me, I need to get through here. I need to see what's going on. Um, but like
Okay.
not in the same spot that Drucilla's
Yeah.
selling at.
So Drusilla, you're sitting there shouting like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And you hear a couple different things. You hear, "Oh, I saw that one guy like stabbed another guy. I swear." And you hear another voice kind of chime and go, "No, no, no, nobody got stabbed. It was just a sucker punch. Everything should be fine." And then you hear another guy going like, "This you recognize to be one of Malice's men," and go, "Doesn't matter what it was. It's an act of crime and evil right outside of our parish. This cannot be condoned." And you hear like legit anger in that guy's voice. Sarah, you tap one specific man's shoulder and you ask what's going on, and he kind of turns back and he goes,
No, no,
he
I wasn't asking. I said I need to get through.
oh,
I
okay.
wasn't asking what
Uh,
was going on. I'm pushing my way through the line.
the guy looks at you, and being that it's a small community right now and not very populous, he recognizes who you are, and he kind of starts like pushing his buddies out of the way and goes, "It's one of the heroes. It's one of the heroes. Come on, get out of the way. She'll fix it. She'll fix it." And you kind of get like it's a narrow corridor of people trying to shuffle out of the way so you can get through. Drusilla, you're still in the back, hearing rumors from people.
Do I see Sarah get through?
I'm gonna say no, since she specifically made sure to state she was in a different area.
Okay. I just say to the one that looks like he's dressed in Malice garb, like, hey, do you know who I am?
He looks at you and he kind of sneers and he goes, "If it wasn't for malice, I'd use my warhammer on your skull right now, parading around, acting like you're all top dog, evil goddess, whatever you want to call yourself. If only, if only priest malice didn't vouch for you." And you actually hear like almost a sexual tension, like a state of arousal at the idea of him bashing your brains in.
That's weird, though I suppose I like that better than being treated like a hero. I'll look for a different way to get closer.
Sarah, at this point, I'm going to say you kind of like worked your way into the middle, as Drucilla is now trying to find a different place to enter due to the tension brought on by the Malice Man. When you get to the center, you see Malice standing over two guys. I'll bring him down. Go, Malice. And like both guys are on their knees and like begging him for forgiveness as Malice kind of like towers over them with his warhammer in both hands, kind of like clapping it together. Everything looks like it's been settled. You can see both guys are a little black and blue. One's got a broken lip, but you also see a hint of that darkness in Malice's eyes that you saw when he went on that killing spree in the arena. You see similar. It's controlled, but only barely controlled.
Hmm. All right. So I approach them like not or like just casually, not to alarm anyone or freak anyone, spook anyone. And I go, what's going on over here?
Malice's head kind of like snaps towards you really quick, like, and he looks at you, and you're legitimately afraid for a couple seconds, but then
Can
you
I
kind of
roll?
see like it's not really a debuff. It's just like a little bit of you think he's gonna like strike you fear, not like actual terrified fear.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
so you see that
in that case, can I not show that I'm that I have that feeling?
you can hide it pretty well. I'll give you that.
Okay.
So you don't flinch back, but like it takes a second. It's barely. It's like there and gone.
Hmm.
And then you see like the light of recognition fill his eyes. That darkness is still there, but he realizes that you're who you are, basically. At this point, Drusilla, you're still kind of like poking around. You start to hear people whispering about how Sarah has approached Malice, and
A- as soon as I hear about Sarah, I start being a little bit more assertive about forcing my way through the crowd.
okay, as you do so, you kind of push your way through. You get elbowed a few times and you get pushed back because you didn't really announce. You just kind of like you heard Sarah's name and you're like, "Oh no, I'm not part of the action," and you kind of like start forcing your way through this crowd. But you are a smaller person too, so you manage to kind of wiggle your way into the center. It's gonna take you a minute, but you'll get there.
Okay.
Malice goes as he starts to recognize Sarah. He looks at her and goes, "Oh, don't worry, Sarah. This is nothing. These two hooligans started a fight over some lass they saw at the bar last night during, or not last night, 2 nights back during the whole party for saviors Sarah and Drusilla." And you hear a little bit of scorn in his voice, but not much. You can tell he's a little jealous of your popularity, but he's not trying to say it in a mean way.
Hmm. Okay, I got it.
Um, but he goes, "Yeah, so they started a scrap outside my parish, and I won't have any fighting outside my holy chapel. We preach the word of my God, and he preaches the word of peace to all but the wicked. Only the wicked should be receiving physical punishment."
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Uh,
I
as,
got. You.
Go ahead.
I want to respond to Malice. I got you. I got you. Um,
Yeah.
before we continue, can you put the wacky thing down? You're 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 holding it a little more threatening than you probably should have at this point. I mean, they're on their knees at this already.
He looks down at his hands. He sees his warhammer, and he goes, "Oh." Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to put the fear into him. I wasn't planning on using it on him. I would never strike an innocent. Uh, you hear a little bit of defensiveness in his tone. At this point, Drusilla, you also approach, and you hear the end of that conversation, and you see Malice kind of put his warhammer through the loop on his belt.
What happened? Why is everybody gathered here?
So
Malice,
can
go ahead.
can I start talking like right after, kind of like blowing past the question?
Sure.
Um. So okay. So then Drusilla says that, and right after that, I want to be like, or go to Malice. I'm like, okay, Malice. So how do we get to this? If they were fighting, how do we get here? They look like they're about to beg for their lives.
He kind of chuckles and he goes, "Well, you know, if you're going to hold true law, sometimes you got to put the fear of God into some people. And my God is no shameful about putting the fear into people. So when I saw them scuffling outside my parish, I approached them. And when they wouldn't stop their petty squabbles over some lady of the night, I pulled out my hammer and I let my aura loose. And when he says that, you see that little bit of that little glint of darkness again. It kind of like shines for a second.
Am I
Uh,
picking up on that?
yeah, you can see it too. And he doesn't release his aura at this point, but you do see it. And he goes, once they felt the mighty aura of my God, they bowed down and prayed forgiveness, which I shall grant them. Now, at this point, both of you understand that Malice is a tiefling and that he has the blood of Asmodeus in him. And both of you, from travels with Malice, understand that his God, though just and evil and vicious towards evil, he is also, favorable on the innocents. And something like this act of aggression that Malice is showing wouldn't be necessarily appreciated by his God. So you both get an inkling that possibly, this is all in your head, possibly Malice is mixing up the singles from Asmodeus and his God and creating like a weird little joint signal that could potentially be bad or could potentially be good. Who knows?
I don't know if I think that hard about it. I just say, geez, Malice. I used to feel sorry for you, but now you're just fooling yourself. I know plenty of monsters who are more true with their nature than you are. You like to think you're better than these townsfolk. You're just another one of those things that belong in the raids.
He looks at you. He like really looks at you and he goes, if that isn't the pot calling the kettle black, miss, I am the goddess of evil and I will be an evil overlord. But though you can't handle simple fights without your friend saving your life.
The fighting part isn't what bothers me. Don't mention Sarah. It's the high and mighty attitude you have that bothers me. If you want to punch somebody in the face for being weaker than you, that's all well and good. To act like you're in the right,
Can I
that's not.
interrupt here? I want to interrupt, starting with Drusilla and be like, "Hey, Drusilla.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you know this, but look around. The conversation you two are having can be had elsewhere once the crowd is gone. We're in a situation here that should be addressed first before you guys can go on with your banter on who is right and who is wrong."
I would say I was right. But yeah, you're right, Sarah.
And then I turn to Malice and like, one second. I go to the two men and I'm like, for one, girls don't like it when you fight over them. Not at least in that way. if you try to impress them, that's one thing. But just beating up on each other, just like it's the woman's choice. And two, you guys should know better than do it side of the church. Come on. If we have anything, if we have another problem with you two, we'll put it up to a vote, but the town guard will first, get involved.
Yeah, it's true. This
Capiche?
is their job.
Both the kneeling men kind of like, oh, thank you, great hero, Sarah. Yes, 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 thank you, and they kind of like scurry off. Malice actually looks at you now with a little bit of anger, and he goes, "I appreciate what you're trying to do, Sarah, but when they were fighting outside of my parish, they entered into the realm of my justice, not the justice of the city guard."
Hold on, DM. You're going too fast. I wasn't going to allow them to leave yet.
Okay.
I was just saying capiche. I was asking for a response from them. I was going to make them stay kneeling there. That I wasn't going to let them
You
run
can
away.
stop them from scurrying off.
Oh,
But
then I want to stop them from scaring off.
yeah, that's fine. They try to scurry off, but you don't let them. But Malice still, because you brought up, the city guard and everything, he still gives you that little. Once they, started this outside of my parish, they entered into the justice of my church. The city guard and I have an agreement of what is my area and what is theirs, and they will not be brought in to handle this situation. It will be handled by the justice of my God.
Oh, carving out territory, not too different from an orc chieftain encroaching upon, well, what used to be the kingdom's territory.
As Drucilla says this, you see Malice kind of like start to loosen his hammer out of his sheath again. And as well as, all his armed men around you are also starting to. Drucilla doesn't see this. Well, actually, let Drusilla make perception check. But Sarah, you're definitely noticing that tensions are rising. Drusilla does not see this. She's so caught up in her speech and trying to villainify Malice that she does not notice that the tensions are rising around her and she's about to start something she may regret.
I want to say something before anybody intervenes.
Mhm.
Malice, your nature is not something to be ashamed of. You don't need a coat and a paint that doesn't match what's underneath. You don't need to act like what you're doing is right.
Are you going to interrupt at all, Sarah, or should I go on with what Malice is going to say?
I mean, I was going to respond. I'm going to respond back to Malice and what she was talking to me, but it can wait for a line or two.
Malice looks at Drusilla and he goes, "I do not hide. I understand that I have the blood of Asmodeus running from my veins, and I try to make amends for the sins I have committed. This is why I joined the church of my God, because he is just, and he is kind to the innocent, and he is deadly to the wicked." And you hear the barb in the end of his voice as he says that, as he looks you right in the eyes, Drusilla. And you kind of see, like, instead of just loosening his hammer, he's got a pretty decent grip on the shaft. It's still in its ring, but he's ready to draw at any moment. And he goes, "If you continue down your wicked paths as you are true to yourself, then we will battle, Drusilla. We will. Not because I am putting a coat of paint over who I am, but because I seek atonement for what I have done."
I activate Paragon Surge, and I just well, I was shorter than Malice before. Now I can actually look at my level. I say if it comes to that, it does.
Can,
Now I got plans for the day.
can I walk in between the two now?
You can walk in between the two as Drusilla is saying that. So, like, she activates Paragon Surge. You see her getting taller, activating what you know to be her trump card. Malice has a firm grip of the hammer. And at this point, as Drusilla is finishing her sentence, you kind of like step in the middle of them.
So I want my. I'll go side by side. But I turn to Drucilla and I say sternly, leave. And then I don't wait for a response. But then I go to Malice. I'm like, okay, Malice. Yes, I know you, and I play like I know, but like I know you and the town guard have like your own jurisdictions. But what I was saying is, like, let's say they get into a fight down by the inn. Well, then they're probably gonna get locked up overnight or something, and we can figure out what to do with it. If they do it in front of your church, yeah, that's up between you and the town guard. But either way, you will agree with me that we will not have this type of fighting out in the streets of this glorious town.
I'm not gonna make it too hard of a rule, but I want you to make a charisma check to see if you manage to tamp down the temper at all, because Drusilla and Malice have been bringing each other to a boil, and it's not just for Malice. You're also, ooh, nice.
A
You're
natural
also
20.
trying to tamp down Drusilla's temper as well. Yeah, nice roll, unnatural 20. That's a good way. Okay, so Drusilla, at this point, you see the fierceness in Sarah's eyes. You know from experience that Sarah is doing what she believes is best, not only for the people around you, but for you. Because even though you two get at it, she has protected you several times. With that sense and knowledge, you can choose to listen to her and leave, or you can choose to ignore her and potentially face her ire as well as Alice's.
I know better than to not take Sarah seriously when she's dropped dead serious. So I actually do respect the stance that she has. And I just kind of do like one of those like nose sniffs, like I don't know, trying to look tough. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just walk away from Malice.
Same thing. Malice, you or Drusilla, Drusilla, you're walking away. I'm mixing up names. It's my fault. Sarah, you see Malice release his weapon. You hear it fall back into that metal ring as it kind of clinks against his side, and he goes, "Oh, well, thank you for clarifying, Sarah. I do appreciate it. And yes, yes, obviously, if they are not in my area, then they are for the guards to deal with. This slight that has happened today, though, this will be punished in the way that is fitting, and they will be spending the rest of the day cleaning the floors of my parish." And with that, he kind of like glares at the two that you stop from scurrying off. And you see them both bow their head and scrape and go, "Oh, thank you for your forgiveness. Thank you for your kindness." And two of the fully armed men come out and kind of like take them or start taking them into the church so they can serve their penance. At this, with everything that's going on, Malice kind of like puts a hand on your shoulder, Sarah, and he goes, "I know you've been with Drusilla for a long time, but that girl, I know she has a kind heart, and I know she does what's right, even though she claims evil. But that mouth of hers, she's not only going to get herself in trouble, Sarah, she's going to get you in trouble as well."
At this point, I wanna go. I wanna like look around and go to everyone and be like, "Y'all can leave. The show's over. Thank you for your participation."
You hear a couple pouts and a couple grumbles. You hear a couple little congratulatories, common rubbernecker talk, and they all start to kind of like scatter.
And I go to Malice. I'm like, you know, I believe what you say. What you say is true. But I also believe that knowing what I know of Drusilla, that she's not the the one to fear amongst the entities around her. So if I you know I if I stick with her, I would have a better chance of taking down what would become the greater foe.
Malice looks at you. He's a little confused for a second, and he goes, Do you mean that circle of six she's always talking about? You know they're just rumors, right?
Uh, yep, sure. That's that's for a story for or a conversation for a different time. But I do have a question for you. Now that the crowd is gone,
As you guys talk, you see him visibly relax and he's calming down, and you see that little darkness kind of fade away. You can kind of perceive that it's still there, but it's much more under control than it was.
I go, uh, how do I want to word this? I go to him. I'm like, so from the time that we did, travel together or whatever, I don't remember the God that you chose to follow being this. Would you say heavy-handed?
Oh, he looks a little abashedly. He scratches his nose and looks down a bit, and he goes, You're right. My God is very lenient, as long as you do not commit sin or murder or any of those travesties. He's a very lenient and forgiving God, but this town is in constant turmoil, Sarah. You may not notice it because you and Drusilla were traveling, but if I don't act a little heavy handed, as you put it, then these people would just be chaos.
Uh, I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Uh, but I just want to not necessarily asking a favor because I mean we're all on different paths at this point. But just watch yourself. I'd hate for you to confuse which God you're talking to.
Oh, I always feel my God's present as long as I do his good word. I still remember the vision I had before we came to this town together. It was strong, and I follow it to this day. I will return this broken, burned down forest back into the lush greenery it was before. And it's sad to say it, but I will probably have to take a few wrong turns to make that happen. I'll have to bury some manure as it is, but it will be done, and this town will be glorious again.
Um, I go, this. I'm like trying to wrap up the conversation here, and I'm like, well, Malice, I would just uh, oh shit, what's the word? I would just hate for you to add another um not regret, but what whatever that word is. With the retention or the retribution. No, not retribution. All right, I would hate for you to add another source of regret. I'll say regret, lacking the better word. Then before you relieve what you already have.
Teacher goes, Thank you for your concern, Sarah. You always were the better of us. I only traveled with you and Drusilla for a while, but I always knew that you were truly a good person, Sarah, through and through. And he kind of gives you that solid clap, and you feel it being a ranger versus him being a warrior. You feel like the pressure of his hand under your shoulder.
Yep.
And at that point, he goes, Well, I have two troublemakers I need to make sure scrub the floor well. I will see you on the morrow. And he kind of turns around to go into his parish.
All right. Well, then I leave. I start heading where I was planning on going.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you two go about your day.
I just wanted to ask Sarah, like, Anything happened between you and that poser I should know about?
Oh, no, nothing really. Just talking philosophy, you know.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, what were we gonna do today?
You go about your regular business. You
Can we
go.
take like a 5-er? So I need to use the bathroom.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I gotta
Oh,
get another beer and use the bathroom.
Okay, let's get back into it. So, you guys go about your day. Sarah goes to the walls. She doesn't get quite as much done as she did last time, but she still gets her perimeter set out, gets some targets set out for the next set of walls. Um, you can see, wooden bases starting to pop up on the walls. You can see the red-haired gnome, running between the kernels of the wall, between each product, yelling at people. His silent but lovable husband following behind him, doing some woodwork as you set up your range markers and your targets. Drucilla, you head down into the arena to help with the training. You're a little bit fired up though from your confrontation with Malice, and you're kind of taking it out on the men in a way, and you're yelling and shouting and trying to prove your own sort of power and that you're not weak, having just backed down from Malice on Sarah's request.
Yeah, I am still salty about that.
All this goes on. You guys get back about the same time. Work's done, children's done. You get back to the inn. As you both kind of like saunter into the inn, a little bit tired, a little bit worked out, you see Bylorn sitting there, and he's got a shot in his hand. He hasn't taken it, but you can see him kind of like
ooh, ooh,
fooling
ooh,
around with it at the bar and looking at it, playing with it,
ooh. Can I go? Can I
like
go? Can I go?
like recovering addicts. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to walk up and grab the shot and say thank you and take it and be like, oh, I needed that one.
He looks at you and he goes, "Well, oh, that's one way to keep me from drinking it."
I laugh, I chuckle.
You gonna do anything, Drusilla?
I was kind of just watching this exchange, trying not to smile.
But then I want to proceed to sit down next to him.
You do so. The innkeeper comes out with your dinner. And she goes, "With all the work you two have been doing, I've decided not to charge you for your rooms or your dinner. I know everybody in town is putting in hard work, but you two especially, you two have been helping a lot. So this month is free. But after this, though," she kind of like wags a finger at you guys and has that half smirk on. "After this, you're gonna have to start paying me, though."
I cheerily go, yeah, but we'll get the city of helpers discount, right? Right.
He just chuckles and kind of like walks away.
Um, I call him like, wait, can I get a drink?
Coming right up, you hear over her shoulder.
I'll have water.
I figured you would.
I do want to go to Bilo, and I'm like, so what brings you to the inn?
He sighs heavily and he goes, "I'm sure you already know. Some of my guards were involved in that little ruckus that happened this morning.
Were they on the side of Malice?
Well, they're on the side of the city. And they admitted that the two were indeed fighting on the streets, and that Malice did indeed stop it without any form of violence. They also informed me on your guys' little confrontation." He looks at Drusilla. "And then how you settled it for them." He looks at Sarah. "But this brings me to what I wanted to talk to you two about. I brought it up before, my suspicions of Malice. And Drusilla, you couldn't have put it better yourself this morning. He's not just preaching, he is dominating. That agreement he spoke of is just that I don't have enough manpower to try to stop raiding and looting, as well as stop him from his dictator like reign over his parish and the surrounding buildings. If I could, I'd put an end to it, but I can't. Not without hurting the city farther than it already is.
Do you have plans to address this some way?
Honestly, he looks at the now empty shot glass. Sadly, no. I don't have any plans, so there's nothing I can do. We don't have enough people. The raids aren't stopping anytime soon, as far as we know. They've been going for 70 years. Why are they gonna stop now? And as much as I hate his methods, we need his help.
Yeah, I can see that. Malice and his forces are dedicated, trained, brainwashed, and effective. They will fight fearlessly and relentlessly, which is why they've gotten so powerful to begin with, and they will continue to grow until this city is one giant cult. So I don't know where you want to draw the line there, but once it gets so far, it'll be far past the point of looking back.
He kind of like hangs his head at this, and he goes, "You're right. I hate it. I hate it, Drusilla. But you are right. But what can I do? I don't have the manpower. I don't have the people. And if I were to strike against him now, the general populace would hate it for me. He protected the entire North Gate with just him and a handful of men. There were no casualties, no slip ups. Everything was flawless. Even you guys lost somebody during the raid, and we lost one or two of our own. But his side was just perfect. You know, if I were to strike the hero of the North Gates, then I would be ostracized from my own city.
So I chime in. I'm like, who says you have to strike him down?
He looks at you and he goes, I would never ask that of you guys.
I'm not offering.
He kind of go, you actually hear him sigh in relief at the fact that you're not offering. And he goes, oh, thank God. Like, I fear for what he's doing, but I have to respect his results.
Yeah, I have to wholeheartedly agree. Striking him down would be a mistake, especially now. It is a tough decision to make. It's a lose lose situation. He is vital to the next success at the very least.
Yeah, Bylord nods his head and he goes, yeah, you're right. You're right. What can I do? Like, I have nothing on him. The only way for me to bring him down peacefully would for him to commit an act so grievous that the populace would be behind me, and I have nothing on him. I can't get close to his church. His men will let me in for a service on their chosen holy day, but other than that, I can't get in there at all.
Shame the king's not willing to step in on all this.
And at the mention of the king, Bylorn just scoffs. That man's been a drunk for 70 years, and he'll be a drunk for 70 more.
Yeah, I
I,
was told.
I chime up and I'm like, well, I
Hold
mean,
on, guys. Sure, go ahead.
I
Go
I,
ahead. Sorry.
I chime up. I'm like, well, Bylorn, the reason why I asked why you think you had to be the one to do it is because I was going to suggest get the king to do it.
Same wavelength. Jeez, that's
And he
crazy.
goes, well, if the king ever got off his ass and, decided to take an interest in his own bloody capital, then I would be one to agree with you. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
As long as he continues to get his orders of liquor from the merchants, he's not going to take a step off of his throne.
maybe.
Uh, yeah. Anyways, I'm not terribly concerned about how you guys go about managing city defenses, but if your priority is keeping this from becoming a cult, then something needs to happen. Otherwise, that is what is going to happen.
He goes, I agree. And Sybil is also on the fence about this, and He's tried to have her urchins look into it, but it seems that Malice, being key to the planning, has blocked off all sewer access to his parish and the surrounding buildings so that the urchins can't get in there to peek and listen. We have no ends, but if we ever find some good information, we can use that. Maybe not to kill him, but maybe to get the people to side more with the guard and less with his church to give us more strength than he has and allow us to keep the balance before he becomes too strong.
That would be good, because otherwise, this whole thing would be one charade. Be a city of monsters trying to defend itself from other monsters. And that's what his cult is. Their high and mighty mentality bothers me to no end. Acting like they're in the right.
He kind of looks at you and he goes, "You know, Drucilla, as much as I agree with you, don't you walk around asking people to be your minions?
I don't hide it.
As in your
I
servants?"
laugh at the mention at this part.
I don't hide it. I don't pretend I'm a good guy.
Well, he hasn't hidden who he is either. He serves his God, his clergy serves him. He doesn't call it anything other than what it is. It's not like he walks around and says, come join my church, you'll be forever forgiven. No, he says out front that his church kills the wicked and saves the innocent. And as he sees it, that is the truth of it. He's
Wicked
not
and
hiding
innocent.
anything.
Wicked and innocent isn't his choice to make. It's weak and strong. Whether he's willing to acknowledge it, those are the rules he's playing on.
Well, yes, again, I agree with you, but again, you are very similar in this aspect. For example, you want to be Farlight's minion because she's beaten you twice in combat now, correct?
Yeah.
But
No.
at the same point, you walk around claiming to be the next great evil overlord.
I think that's what really bothers me because he's actually doing it in your own city.
When you say this, he nods and he goes, I get you now. You're jealous of his results. I get it. I can see that. But to me, that doesn't matter. If his results didn't endanger my people, and if his results weren't so unilateral, I'd be all for what he is doing. But the simple fact that he has created his own little fiefdom where only his rules apply and not the rules of the city is the problem I have.
It's a valid problem to have. Anyways, my goal right now is to keep people from dying. So if you have any, plans to intercept that, share it with us. Until then, that's not really my concern.
He states again, he goes, honestly, like I said, there's nothing I can do without more information. Um, if I had information, either promoting or disdaining his personal beliefs and philosophies, I could use that to leverage the populace to my side, thus creating a balance in the city and stopping his explosive growth. But without that information, there's nothing I can do.
Are you suggesting you think there's something we could do to help with that?
He looks at you funny and he goes, I make no such suggestion. I only state the facts. Without that information, there is nothing I can do. If you were to somehow procure this information and give it to me, that is of your prerogative. If you were to hire somebody to procure this information and then give it to me, again, that is your prerogative. Whatever happens, happens.
I look at Sarah, just like, I think this might be your ballpark.
I kind of look up from my food and be like, I thought you're the king, or you're the you want to be the queen of overthrowing people.
This city someday, Sarah, I try to say without my lord hearing me. Not a fucking cult growing inside of it. Although it wouldn't be a city to overthrow if the cult overthrew the city first.
Um. Oh, hold on. Meta-wise, when we, who's the person that I know in the Golden Hill?
Red. She
Red.
hasn't returned yet.
Did she always visit me down here?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you guys are still wanted up on Golden Hill.
Hey. Okay. I go like, that's my response to Byler.
See, big brains at work over here. She's thinking so hard she can't even form a sentence. I'm sure Sarah will come up with something.
If you say so.
Trying to hype you up over here.
But yeah. I don't know what to say. And I can hear your TV pretty clearly.
Yeah, it is pretty loud.
It's a good show. And yeah, I know I got it a little bit loud today, but I left my remote over on the couch, so I couldn't turn it down.
It's got quiet now.
That's his between. But anyways, that just means you have to keep talking, otherwise you're gonna have to bleep out part of your guys' audio.
You guys were role playing. I didn't want to interrupt.
I told you
Okay.
like 3 times that I have nothing to say. You just
I know.
said
And
it.
then Drucilla kept like chiming in, going, "Oh, look how great she is thinking, and look at her brain working." So I was letting you role play it.
Look at the gears turning.
Anyway, Bylearn shakes his head, and he goes, "You know, I would never ask you guys to purposely investigate your friend. I merely air my concerns to two people who, well, one person I trust, the other person I regrettably respect for her prowess in combat." But
I turned to Drusilla. I go, "That's you."
Yeah. Surprise.
but here nor there. These are just the concerns of a common guard captain. They don't need to be your concerns. Continue with your week and continue with all the good work that you two have done. We all appreciate it, truly. And with that, he kind of stands up and walks out of the bar.
On his way out, I chime in. I'm like, wait, you don't want to buy me another shot first? And I laugh.
He just kind of like waves his hand at you as he walks out of the bar.
You got him good. All right. Well, with that, I think I am getting ready to go to my room and get ready for the next day, unless there's anything else.
Oh, go on with the week.
I might have to start wearing a mask if I don't want people to keep calling me a freaking hero.
So I'm not allowed to work on my alchemy during this week, or is it?
This week is still you working on the archery.
Well,
So
like
it's
I can't work on the archery during the day and take a couple hours every night, or are you gonna penalize me for that?
I'm just generalizing the training here. Just generalizing.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe wearing a mask is a good idea.
Oh, anyway, you continue about your work for the weeks. That was day 3. So day 4, again, you spend your time on the walls, Sarah. You finally get the last of the distance markers mapped out, and you start helping the workshop gnome and his husband create the, I don't know if it's called twine for ballistas or if it's just like string, but whatever it is, you start helping them thread it together for the ballistas. as the husband continues to work on the wooden frames, and the redheaded gnome continues to run around like a crazy person, instructing all the crews. Drucilla, you continue to motivate and train, and you actually do see some progress, not a lot, but the few who have taken your motivation to heart and have started to step back and shoot from a distance, you can kind of like recognize them now. They're steadily doing this every day. You've got like 4 or 5 of the already trained archers who are now taking shots from 40 yards instead of 30 yards and hitting the target reliably.
Nice. You want to be able to hit a shot as far away as possible, as reliably as possible.
Day 5 rolls around, much the same. Then that ends the work week. Okay, so we are going to do a weekend for you two, and then we will call it for 2 nights. So we'll get the weekend done and get ready to start into the next week for next week. That's funny. Anyway, so the weekend rolls around. At this point, you guys again, morning rolls up. You wake up and you have 2 days to yourself. But this day specifically, you hear some clamoring, and the innkeeper fills you in that Red's caravan has arrived. She is, 2 weeks late for some reason. She was supposed to arrive a week before the raid, but she didn't show up, and she's finally showing up now. Um, and you can kind of hear like the horses and everything clamoring down the streets.
Uh, I mean, I hear it. Don't really do anything with Red or Red's caravan.
No, you don't.
Oh, I mean, I'll go investigate after I eat.
Um, as you're eating, Red actually steps in. She looks Sarah dead in the eyes and she smiles and she goes, I thought I heard that you two heroes managed to show up for the raid.
Don't call me that.
I chuckle. I'm like, yeah. Where else would I be?
She goes, I don't know, off adventuring.
Oh, then I wouldn't be able to get to see you.
She
Did
smiles at you. She goes, you flatter.
did you bring back any of that delicious wine or
She
liquor?
goes, farewell. Any alcohol or liquor I bring into the city is mandated to go to the king.
Yes. Not even one bottle I can swipe.
I'm sorry, Sarah, but if my count isn't exact when it gets to the gate of Golden Hill, my family will be penalized, and I cannot go against my family. You know this.
I chuckle. I'm like, yeah. Just yeah.
At this, she kind of smiles and she goes, now, I'm hearing rumor that you two are sticking around for a month, and if you wanted to slip me a few, you know, sorry, I gotta check my money. I don't remember what my money is.
Your economy?
Yeah. If you want to slip me, 5 to 10 gold pieces under the table, I may be able to arrange getting a bottle of that cactus juice I know you like, and maybe keeping it off my records as a personal supply. She says with a bit of a wink.
I heard what 20 gold. I'm like, yeah, that's a deal.
20?
Wait, did you
So
say 5 gold a piece or 10?
5 to 10. She was trying to finagle, but you slammed down the 20, and as you slam it down, it maneuvers into the sleeve of her coat and vanishes. And she goes, "Okay, well, next time I'm out to the desert, I'll make sure to pick up 2 very nice bottles for you."
I'm just sitting there with my mouth like hanging open. I can't believe I just saw that.
Oh yeah, just so you forget I'm rich, right?
You're rich?
Usually,
I was
uh,
I was richer
in,
before 69.
in all of our campaigns, you are always the poor one. I'm sorry, man. You just suck with money.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm trying to like just process this. I'm rubbing my forehead.
It doesn't help that in my campaign specifically, you have literally pissed off every merchant you've gone to deal with.
So they
Yeah, I know.
charge you like 3 times as much.
It's probably not going to change.
Hey, do you, boo boo? She goes, okay, well, I'll make sure I get those my personal stock refilled next time I'm out at the desert. Hopefully this month I'll be back before the raids. Got hung up. There was a bandit camp on my route home, and had to go around them. Took us a couple extra days, and at that point we didn't want to risk coming back during the raid, so we just hung out at a town not too far to the west of here.
Bandit
Isn't
camp,
there,
eh?
don't you guys have like a guard escort or something?
Well, yeah, enough to deal with like a common raid, not for an entire camp.
You had an entire camp on your trail?
Well, not on our trail, in our path.
Oh,
They set up camp like on our route home.
you guys willing to maybe pay money to have them removed from the path?
Well, if you guys weren't going to be sticking around, then yeah, I would gladly have paid you to remove them from my path. But since you're here for the month, you won't have time. We're leaving again tomorrow morning. We won't be back until hopefully this time a week before the raid.
Shame. Okay, I guess there's nothing to be done about that.
She looks to Sarah and she goes, I know you have a habit of putting in special orders to help out the town or yourself in this case, she says as she magically makes a gold coin appear in her hand. Any other orders you're looking to put in for this month, or you good with what you got?
Yeah, all the townsfolk, they said that they have their own orders coming in, or so they say, or something like that.
She goes,
I
yeah. We just dropped off a load of iron at the weaponsmith. We dropped off some basic supplies at the workshop. The alchemist got his herbs, though they were a little more expensive this run through. He's not too happy about that, but he got what he needed. But you're the queen of specialties, so I figured I'd give you a chance before I take my carts up to Golden Hill and then get ready to depart again tomorrow.
I I guess I would say if you happen to have some free time on in your destination, if you could swing by the alchemy shop and pick up a book up there for
You're
me.
looking for alchemy books, huh? Well, I do visit several towns. Um, I could arrange to talk to a few alchemy guys and see if there's any guides out there for you. You want me to just get you one book or two books or what you looking for, Sarah? I don't know what you want.
I'll take a handful if that's what you can get. Just I kind of tapped out the person here in town, not until things start turning around and they can freshen their collection.
Hold on, guys. Go ahead. Okay, buddy. Okay. She goes, yeah. Well, I can't guarantee they'll be cheap. What's your spending limit?
I don't know, 20 gold, 40 gold.
20 to 40 gold. Okay. Okay. Well,
You should probably be able to get quite a few books with that much.
well, skilled craftsmen they prize their books. They don't come cheap.
Well,
It's
tell
not
them it's
like
for
we
Sarah
have.
Snow, and they'll be hearing from me soon.
She chuckles and she goes, as well known as you are here, Sarah, the rest of the world doesn't really know you two.
Have you tried? I kind of like laughingly questioned her.
She looks at you and she gives you like a knowing smirk. And she goes, well, we've been questioning over the last month about these three miraculous heroes who showed up last month, trying to find out what we can. We've got a pretty clear basis on Malice. He's been around for a while, walking around preaching his God's justice while sometimes giving in to his own bloody demonic ways. He's got a pretty wide record around this continent. But you two, Sarah and Drucilla, you two seem to have just appeared out of nowhere.
Maybe a mask really is a good idea.
Yeah, it feels like that to us too sometimes.
She goes, okay, well, I'll do you this solid. I'll get you your booze. You already paid for it. And I'll look into some alchemy books for you. I'll try to be back about a week before the raid starts, but who knows, circumstances being circumstances.
Yep.
Also, I don't know how broad your information network is, and I toss 5 gold. Make sure my name doesn't go around being spread as a hero.
She looks at you, she catches the gold, and it easily vanishes down her coat, being a merchant as skilled as she is. She goes, why wouldn't you want your name spread as a hero there, girl? I mean, if I spread your name before you get there, you'll receive the welcome you deserve.
That's it's hard to explain, but that's not what I deserve.
She shrugs and goes, hey, whatever. Everybody will know Sarah Snow and her heroics in this capital city. I guess Drusilla Graymore will just be her preppy little sidekick.
No, not that either.
I like the sound of that.
Well, if you're not the hero, girl, what am I supposed to tell people? That some random person who's not a hero is in my city right now fighting off hordes of demons? If you're not a hero, then you're a sidekick. If you're not a sidekick, you're nothing.
I'm just here for now. How's that?
Sidekick it is.
God damn it. Give me that gold back.
Deal is made and done, girl. Deal is done.
Shit.
That Red kind of gives Sarah a little bit of a wink and walks out of the bar. So
I
you guys
chuckle.
got 2 days to do as you please. You don't have to specifically do one thing or another. You can work on your professions if you want. You can talk to people, visit stores. As Red just said, she just brought in all her shipments. So the stores are nicely stocked again.
Uh, is practicing enchantment something that's on the table?
I will allow you to practice soulstone creation, but I'm not throwing a random encounter at you right now, mainly because I do want to end this pretty quickly so that we can be dunsies.
Okay, yeah, there's not really a whole lot of people here I'm eager to interact with right now. So yeah, I'll just practice my soulstone stuff and chat it up with Zern if he's got anything on his mind. Usually nothing I want to hear.
Okay, you're doing that for the full weekend?
Yeah,
Okay, Sarah, anything specific for you?
I want to visit the king.
you're wanted, you know.
Okay. Um, Okay, I'll figure out how to roleplay that in a second. For now, I'm gonna have Drusilla make her rolls. So we're gonna say you're smart enough to have learned your lesson that your level is not high enough to fully convert the jewel you have in your possession into a soul stone.
I
So
wasted quite a bit of.
you pick up like a dozen or so rocks,
Yeah.
and you're gonna spend your time trying to convert them into soul stones of the common variety. Roll Well, roll 12d20 plus whatever your soulstone level is.
Let me check that out actually. Oh, I saw uses. I was like, that's not it. It's at 11. Would that make it a 1? Well, yeah, it's at 110%.
So yeah, that would be a 1.
There we go.
Okay, so you got a nat 20. That's nice. 17's not too bad. Mm,
17, not too bad.
14 and 15 are okay-ish. Okay, so in all honesty, it takes you literally the entire 2 days. The first couple hours of the first day, you're really struggling. You're still mentally shaken from your confrontation with Malice, as
Just
well as
rubbed me
being
the wrong
called
way.
a hero and then a sidekick, and you're just confuzzled, confused as all fuck.
It's
And you
all
manage in about half a day, you manage to make 2 soul stones. Then you hit an epiphany, and you calm yourself down. And you get there, and you make a couple. You manage to make, another soul stone real quick, like, and then you pop out another one in another hour. But then it starts to get late in the day, and you really start to struggle again, and you force yourself to push out, another 2 soul stones before the day ends. You get your dinner, you go back up to your room, you end your day out. You start your next day out, relatively well. You're doing okay. You're calm. You slept. You've eaten. You're relaxed. You pop out the first 3 stones. A couple hours, no problem. The second to last one takes you a little bit. You don't know why, but something about the stone really pushes you, and you get that one done. And then the last one, right before the end of the day, you're just so frustrated that you actually let your anger just calm you down somehow. You're so angry, you're calm, and you push out the last soul stone at the end of the second day.
would be completely meta. How many do I get and how many uses do I get?
Even 12.
12 and 12?
Yep.
Okay. Damn, that malice. So high and mighty.
Okay. So, Sarah, this
Yes.
is the start of the weekend. So, you just had your conversation with Red, and you see her still with her caravan out on the main street delivering goods and everything. And for some ungodly reason, you decide it is a smart choice for you to go to Golden Hill. Um,
Well, I mean, I would have went anytime this week. It's just now I have free time.
yep. As you approach, let's say you're about right here. An urchin pops up out of like the sewer grate. And he looks at you and he goes, "Where you going?"
To have a word with an old friend.
And he goes, "You know you're wanted up there, girl, right?"
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that.
Yeah, he goes, I'm not one to stop you, miss. You a hero around these parts. We love you for it. But them Golden Guard, they don't care how much you saved us or how much you helped us. They'll put you in chains and lop your head off wickety quick.
Uh, yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice on this one first, but we'll see how well they pl- they uh they play with me first.
He nods his head and goes, "Okay, miss, I'll leave you be." As you walk up, you only get about halfway down the block. And at this point, city guard in uniform pops out and he goes, "Commander Bylord has issued me to watch these parts for you two. You do know that we won't stop you, but you do know that we cannot save you if you enter any farther."
I am well aware of that, and I thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm doing what I'm told. Just know, once you step past me, you're on your own, girl.
Yep. I've thought about this for a while, but it's something I must do.
He nods his head, and you enter into this area. Now, as soon as you step into this area, which is, I consider this to be the gateway up to actual Golden Hill, and these are the Golden Guards barracks. That's how I picture it.
Okay.
At this point, there's a Golden Guard right here.
Mhm.
There's 2 more here, and this guy stops you. Doesn't recognize you just yet, but he stops you and goes, "How can I help you, miss?"
I put my hands up, like white flagging it type of thing. And I say parlay. I request parlay.
He looks at you funny and goes, "Parlay? What do you want parlay for, girl?" At this point, the guard who was sitting in here has a clear shot through a window to see everything that comes in, kind of like a secondary defense. He steps out, and you can see his armor is got a few knickknacks on it, a few medals. You can tell he's clearly of some rank. And he walks up to the guy with here, and he goes, "Go about your business, private." And he steps in front of you, and he goes, "Well, I never thought somebody on our wanted list would brazenly walk into our front gate demanding what, parlay? What, you want to talk with us? Girl, we have orders to kill you on sight."
Well, okay, that's fair. Put me in chains and bring me back. Even put a put a cloak over the top of me so no one else knows that you're escorting someone like me. But I have a message for the king, and it can only be delivered by me.
He laughs at you. He goes, he just starts rolling and laughing. He goes, "You know, I'm interested. I'm curious. But there's one little thing here you're missing, girl. Motivation. What is my motivation to take somebody I was ordered to kill to the king I am ordered to protect, who is currently probably three sheets to the wind on cactus booze right now, since his shipment just showed up, and I'm sure he's already through half of it. You know, again, I'm curious. I kind of want to see how this plays out, but I also feel that if I follow through with this, the first thing that's going to happen to me is the king's going to kill me for disrupting him, let alone bringing some criminal to his front step."
I mean, if whatever happens that I've been told is gonna happen, or the information I have, if that ever carries out, and a word gets around that you had a chance to prevent it, well, the king would kill you anyways.
Now, see, there, you got a good point, girl. But at the same point, my king hasn't moved from his throne except for a bottle of booze in 70 years. So, if your information is so dire that it's going to kill me to not tell him, I find myself skeptical due to the simple fact that he hasn't cared about our city or any news on this continent for longer than I've been alive.
Well, that's the thing. Like he hasn't cared about anything about the city, but he cares about himself at the end of the day.
He nods his head and he goes, "Yeah, that is true. That is true. I'll tell you what, I'll take you into the castle. I'll even follow what you said and bag you so nobody knows I'm carrying around a felon. Lord knows I don't want my commander knowing. And you know, I'll even knock on the front door for you. But it'll be on you what happens. Because as soon as I knock on that door, I'm out of there. I ain't facing the king's wrath while he's in his cups."
I visibly check to see if I still have a bottle of booze on me. I'm like, deal.
And he goes, "Okay." You get cuffed, get a bag put over your head,
I was hoping
and
a
he,
cloak. That'd be less demeaning.
you don't get to choose. Not even sure about this completely.
This
In
is crazy.
all honesty, I might have to push this off until next week because I want to do this justice.
Uh,
Yeah, this is
I was
big.
expecting you to do it right off the bat. To
I
push.
want to do this justice. I want to get this because this is pretty big. You, meta wise, as you know, and the podcasters and YouTube followers will now know, you are linked to the Golden Dragon. So you are linked to this king. So I want it to be done right.
That is correct.
So, yeah, I think we're going to cut this here and we'll do this next week. So, for the listeners on the podcast, the YouTube, and the stream channel, exciting news. Bork here has completely changed my routine and fucked up my storyline. Let's see if he survives an encounter with a golden dragon who is drunk as shit, or if he gets torched. We'll find out. And I hope you guys enjoy the results.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
But all right, see you guys.
All right, Doodles. But yeah, see ya.
Just abruptly cut them.